even though today's market has more inventory, there was more on the market, and arguably it's worse, prices dropped so fast.
Welcome to the Tom Storey Show with Steve Karrasch and Tom Storey, where we discuss everything real estate or whatever else is on our minds.
All right. Well,
if we're lucky.
Welcome back to the Tom Storey Show. Steve is still in town, and when he's in town, we force him to do things in person instead of just doing it across country like we normally do. And we're lucky enough this week in town that we have a guest. Anita Painter has joined the show. I think I've actually said this. By the way, your name has come up on our podcast several times.
And randomly every time from consumers or realtors?
No, I think we just bring it up.
Complaints department.
And we keep saying like, hey, we need to get Anita on. And I said this to a few guests, like what took us so long to get you on. But I think truthfully for you, it's like, what? I don't know. I feel like this should have happened so long ago. But thanks for finally saying yes, because we finally asked.
Well, thank you for having me.
Anita and I have our own mini unrecorded podcast about twice a week on the phone.
We do. We should actually
in the morning.
Add Tom in.
That would probably do better than this one anyway.
It would definitely get a higher views.
Well, we could have had two more people and been our original Mac.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's why we're together. We're here for a conference in Toronto. And by the way, I know we talked about this before we started, but I'm not allowed to ask you too many questions about your market. Steve gets hot and bothered if I bring up people's local markets. But Campbell River BC.
I care about the market.
Tell me for the people, because there's more than half of this audience is in Ontario that's probably never been to Campbell River. So let's just at least give us an idea of where do you actually work.
Okay, so I live in Campbell River, which is central on Vancouver Island, which is about 420 miles long.
Yep.
But we are the last city before heading right north.
Okay. And what's the population?
About 40,000.
Oh, wow.
It's very small in Campbell River. And then the Comox Valley, which is half hour south, has about 120,000.
Okay. Interesting. And ReMax, and been selling real estate for how long?
I've been in real estate for a little while, Tom. You were just a little baby at 19 years.
Well, when we first met, we called you my real estate mom, actually.
And people actually thought that I was your mom. And I was actually feeling really complimented by that. Oh, yeah? I didn't take offense.
Okay, well, that's good.
Tom, grab an extra one of those if you want to have one.
Just
going to have the rest of that?
I'll get to it in a bit. You want to start with this? Okay. Yeah, so even though this is obviously coming out on a Sunday morning and everyone's going to be enjoying their coffee right now, it's not being recorded on a Sunday morning. So Steve's getting his drinks ready as he typically does.
This episode
when we get
of the Tom
together.
Storey Show is brought to you by Ashatosh and Scotch Whiskey.
Did Cody Krause give us that?
This is last year's bottle from Cody Krause. Yeah.
And we were just talking about Cody.
You can see I'm not too much of a drinker. So Steve gets into my liquor cabinet when he comes to town once a year.
He literally didn't. So Cody bought this bottle for us last year at this conference. He gave it to us. And it was still unopened at his house. I'm like, that would have lasted a week and a half.
I'm not really a drinker either, Tom.
Okay, we'll get into real estate. Because you've been doing this maybe as long as Steve. I know you're not as old. No one's as old as Steve, but what have you seen? We've seen interest rate cuts happen. Like sales volume for every market across Canada has been down from what I know us three are used to over a long period of time.
Yeah.
What's happening right now?
So we're down about 17% year to date for sales.
Okay.
Average price is down 11%. I've seen, it's really quite a mixture.
It's a big drop though. 11% average price down is what's the average price in your market?
It's $715.
Okay. So that's
for single family.
That's right? 11% is a big difference. Big drop. Yeah. So what happened?
Like in the world? What are you talking about? No. Did you not look across Canada?
No. But like, I don't think Toronto's not down 11% year over year.
Really?
No, nowhere close. We're like down 1%, 0.5%. Like,
well, I mean, we are a very small market, and I think too, a lot of people were just really sitting back.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we had a lot of new townhouse developments go in, so our townhouse kind of shifted to a bit of a busier market this year. And I just think we're just a little town that couldn't for a bit.
I wonder if it's also too, like when sales volume's down that much, if if more of the cheaper inventory is actually moving. If it's like, like me and Steve talked about this before, like, is the same house down 11% or is the market just down 11% where we don't actually know what's selling?
Well, I think that I would have to say, in all honesty, that, like I said, the townhouses, which became a lot more affordable
Yeah.
for people, and the average, like, we don't have a huge amount of inventory. Like, you guys have thousands and thousands of listings,
Right.
whereas we have like 358 single family dwellings listed.
Isn't it crazy when you go to a small town, you're like, oh, did you see the new listings this week? And everybody knows.
They know what
Everybody-
they are.
They're
Yes.
like, oh, did you see Heather listed her place down the road?
But you can actually say you're an expert in your market,
You can.
right?
Because you saw all 10 homes that came on the market this week.
And you can actually tell your clients, you're like, yeah, I've been in that one.
Yeah,
on
I've
a
been
Realtor
through
tour
that,
last
right?
week.
Because our office has, 54% of the market share. So our realtor
That's
tours, we
crazy.
really do see.
And you guys actually still do the realtor tours?
We do the physical realtor
So for the
tours
people
on
listening
Tuesday.
that have no clue what we're talking about, explain that.
So we actually, as an office on Tuesday morning, go through after our meeting and we go through all the new listings, walk through them physically.
You go to
Yes.
each listing.
Go to, oh, that's how small it is.
That's how small it is.
I'm working my way through the 7,000 condos listed in Toronto.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you look at it, I remember, what did you say? There's like 11,000 realtors in your board.
Oh my, no.
Oh, no, way more than that.
How many?
Well, it's Greater Toronto area. It's not
Right.
just Toronto, but I think Ontario's over 100,000. Toronto real estate board's like 70,000.
So in,
770.
yeah, in Campbell River, we have 103 agents,
Wow.
right? 103.
But only 300 listings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's still too many of you.
Well, it depends, right? Repeat referrals. been good
Technically,
to
one
me.
agent is too many agents, right?
And how are the sellers feeling if prices are down that much year over year? Like I found, and I'm Steve, we've talked about this, but like, you do the best you can in this market and you get people offers but it's like no sellers are like
Happy.
thrilled anymore
No.
when they sell. There's like, all right, this was what's available. Fine, I'll take it.
Well, and I think too, I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel that the energy within the sellers is so much different since COVID.
Yeah.
Like when I started in real estate, I would have to say that people were just generally a lot happier and our job was quite a bit easier. Now we're literally counselors.
Yeah.
And
So do you think that's like the mindset of the person has shifted and they're dealing with more? Or do you think it was just like happy, blissful ignorance before?
well,
Right?
you told me not to be happy, Steve, so I'm having a hard time not laughing here. But I just think that people, COVID changed a lot of people and they're just a little bit more reactive, vocal, and, want things delivered really within seconds and minutes.
It's like the
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
well, I think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I think that like if you just step back and have a look at life and where you're going, like, yeah, maybe for our average sale price, you're getting 70,000 less, but
Right.
depends on when you bought it. Like a lot
Right.
of these people bought like 15, 20 years ago. And, like there's a greed factor. It's like, well, the market will only give you where the market is. I don't create that price.
And then even though obviously the drop off has happened since the peak of the thing for all of us, what I always like to figure out when we have a guest on is like, okay, if I went back to 2018, 2019, what was the average price then? What did it get to in the peak? And then, where do we land back now? Like we're still higher than where we started previously.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like in 2022, we went up 38.5%.
Oh my God.
for single family dwellings
Yeah.
in 1 year. It was just like, it's unsustainable, right?
That's where you're like accepting offers and you're like presenting it to your seller and you're like, this is great. You should take it, but I'm worried.
I'm worried. Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
I don't know.
So where are we going?
Yeah. What's next then?
Where are we going?
Well, let's
Anita's
shake the crystal
prediction.
ball and see what it gives me. I really think that 2025 is going to be a lot better than 2024 for the island.
Why was 2024 bad?
Why was it bad?
Yeah. Because for me, what I'm noticing, like this is just my personal business, and that's kind of how I gauge everything in life. Exactly what's happening only in my life.
Yeah, just what it means for Steve.
What it
Well,
means for
and
me.
maybe that's where I'm
like the
coming
business
from, too.
isn't bad, right? The business
No.
for me isn't bad, but I heard that a lot of folks feel like they're struggling, right? And obviously we're here to learn new wonderful things that are going on in the industry, always make our businesses better. But like from the consumer's point of view, I don't know that it was a bad year. They just aren't happy, I guess, with the results.
Yeah, I think definitely attitude is one thing. Like, I just want to raise my vibrational frequency here and have a positive 2025.
Right.
And maybe, you know, like, I think you might have just nailed it, Steve. Like last year was probably one of the hardest years for me, right? Like losing my mom, and just like maybe it was more me than the market, which is probably a fair statement.
Do you think with sellers, it's just like because those numbers existed for that brief moment in time, no one can get that out of their head?
It's like when you go in to do a market evaluation and you give them a number, that's the number that sticks.
Yeah.
And I think the COVID chaos numbers have stuck in sellers' brains.
Even though they know it doesn't exist.
That's right.
And if you did the math on, hey, even if your house is down 200 grand from that moment where interest rates are at today, it's going to cost the buyer on a monthly basis basically the same amount to own your house.
Right. And you look at
but they don't seem to care about that as much as just like, no, I'm going to wait to get my price again.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, people are stuck literally, like, in the mindset of this is what we want.
Whenever a seller is having real trouble in their mind wrapping their head around the price, I often will just be like, listen, I know you want what the seller or what the buyers were paying 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 6 month peak of the market, whatever it is. But then I actually go like, you think that they're giving you a price because they're trying to get a deal and they're maybe offending you. And then I actually break out like, do you understand that this is going to be their monthly payment? And it's going to be whatever, let's call it $6,200 a month. And first of all, their jaw drops. And I'm like, you're asking them to go to 65 something a month, or like whatever the difference is.
Right.
And I understand they don't care, but you try and put it in their perspective of the buyer's not trying to screw you in this market. The buyer's trying to get their house at, you know, what they think is a good, affordable value for them. And they just can't imagine. This is somebody who's paid their mortgage might have been at maximum $1,200 a month at one point, and that was the highest they ever paid. And now you put it on paper for them, and you're like, just so you know, this is where the buyer's coming from, and this is how much they're putting down. And like the lowest mortgage payments I'm seeing right now are like $3,500 a month.
Yeah, interesting. Well, and I also think too that just like in any market, different sellers have different motivations, and you know, you got the death, relocation, and they're selling at a price that the buyers in our market have definitely gone through the inventory that they're looking at, so they're educated on what things are selling for, so they won't go over what they feel is.
But you're also
fair. Not
right into like, so in our market, Tom, in BC, like you have the Lower Mainland where everything's going crazy, and then you have like where Anita is. It's gone crazy. But then you also go into these other areas, like I think of the Sunshine Coast when I think about this, where a property been in the market for 4 years, and they're just like, we're not dropping our price, and it'll just be there forever. And I don't think Campbell River is quite that.
Quadra and Cortez, maybe.
Right? Yeah, yeah. So another island off of the island, right?
Yeah.
And is that area a very high price point, or are they reasonably
Depends
priced?
on location.
Just few buyers, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's just
very
not
few.
many buyers. And when the right buyer comes along, they'll pay that price. But it might be 5 years down the road. And you'll see listings that are like 630 days on market. And you're like, what are you doing?
Who lives in Campbell River? Who's the average?
Only Anita.
Solo here, Tom.
Half of my family. Actually. Half of my family.
Yeah, Steve's uncle was a builder there.
Do you go there to retire? Do you?
So honestly, I would say in the last 6 years that we have really diversified who our buyers are.
Okay.
We're getting a lot of people now who are semi-retiring or who are like cashing out,
Yeah.
even from Ontario,
Okay.
coming there to raise their family just for like lifestyle choices. You know, they're not driving 2 to 3 hours a day.
Right.
We have amenities that you can use 365 days a year if you want to go golfing. You know what I mean? Like, we have a different lifestyle.
Steve's making weird sounds over
A
there.
duck was in the room. Are you having your second drink?
I'm having my second drink, and he
I
hasn't
better-
had a sip of her
Well,
first
I'm not
yet.
really a whiskey girl, but
That's all right. All right. So now, as we look forward and we think of 2024, and this is more of like what I'm saying here is more of like as a realtor perspective of like, yeah, I've had a great year in my business. I know Steve's had a good year. I know you went through some personal things as well.
Yeah,
but
I didn't have a bad year.
But to put things in perspective, like I think I've got to give you some credit here. Like, you were selling like over almost 100 properties on your own
Yeah.
on your own for many years in a row.
Yeah.
Which
88
is
transaction was my peak. On my
88?
own. Yeah.
Oh,
it was
but on
88.
your own to
Yeah.
sell 88
You know how
properties.
crazy that
I
is?
don't
Like,
think
it's so
people
angry.
realize
Yeah. What that is.
how much work that is. And like,
yes.
yeah, so maybe a bad year is 55 transactions or
Well,
whatever.
I'll do more than that.
Okay,
but-
so there you go.
yeah,
Right. So that's it. A bad year is 60.
Yeah.
Just to put things in perspective is like, I don't think people fully recognize like,
Well, thank
you know, there's big teams in Toronto that can't crack 50 transactions that have like 15 agents.
Wow.
Like
I'm like, what are you doing in a day?
I was showing Steve the other day.
So I was going
So-
over my numbers with Anita on the phone one time, and she's like, "What do you guys do all day?" I'm like, "What? This is actually hard to do in my market, man. Don't make me cry."
Well, and I think that's maybe why I think 2025 is going to be a really thriving year, because I'm just ready
Right.
to dial back in and go back to the basics of our ideal week.
Right. And do we think that the buyers are ready? Do they feel
I
safe
do.
now?
And you know what else too is I like when you're like, who's moving to Campbell River?
Yeah.
So interesting, like our rent prices are so high now. Like some of the new townhome developments that are being rented out for like $34.80 a month.
And sorry, and what is that? What are you getting for that?
So you're getting like a 2-story townhouse, like, 2,200 square feet.
Okay.
That's like within a year built,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So what's the percent down to break even? That's all I care about with investment properties.
Are people investing in Campbell River?
Yes.
They are.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
Because it's still being
Because it's-
seen as cheap compared to.
Exactly. And our vacancy rate is still quite low. And, depending on what you're buying, there is a tenant. We have a couple of big projects that are happening with hydro and different things. And a lot of intern doctors, nurses come there for their training and stuff. The small little community, right? So there's definitely some investors. And I would have to say that some people that I've talked to in the last year will look at it as an opportunity to buy 2 investments instead of 1.
And where were they looking previously? Vancouver?
Vancouver.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, Steve, you missed out on the referral.
They like it's one of those, when you hear some of these guys, maybe even like Foch or different guys talking about like Ontario, and they'll go out to these outer areas.
Yep.
It's one of those types of markets, right?
Yeah, you should come check it out one day.
Do you finally feel like you've been found? Like Campbell River has shown, like people now know it's a thing?
Like, I do believe that we're a destination location
Okay.
now. Like, a lot of people used to go, like, say, Tofino. I'm sure you've heard of
Yeah, of
Tofino.
course.
This episode is brought to you by Realty Ninja. Real estate agents, listen up. Realty Ninja has created over 9,000 Canadian real estate websites, and they are no joke. I've been using Realty Ninja in my business since they were a small little startup in North Vancouver. Tiny, dusty little office with old leather couch and all. But look at the ninjas now. Realty Ninja is the go-to platform for real estate agents in Canada. Websites are no longer a nice to have. They are a must. Your clients expect you to feature their listings in the best light possible. They expect you to go with Realty Ninja. The backbone of my real estate business is my website. I wouldn't pick any other company to host my website other than Realty Ninja. Don't believe me? Go to my website. Check it out right now. Go to krproperties.ca and you will see that it's powered by Realty Ninja and has been for over a decade. They have all of the features I need to grow my business year after year, including lead capture, mobile-friendly design, built-in SEO, and so much more. The best part of Realty Ninja is it's totally free to sign up, no credit card is required, and you only pay when you are ready to launch your new Realty Ninja website. And no, that's not it. Sign up today at realtyninja.com/Tom, and you will receive 20%, yes, 20% off of your entire first year when using Realty Ninja to host your real estate website. Their templates are super easy to work with yourself, or you can have the ninjas design something for you like I did. Not only is Realty Ninja the best product on the market, but it's also affordable. Listeners of this show know that I am as cheap as they come, and I've been using Realty Ninja for well over a decade now. Start your free trial today, and when you launch, save 20% using our link in the description below. And let Realty Ninja help you take your real estate business to the next level. And now, back to the podcast.
But so many people now have discovered the different parts on the island that offer just as much beauty without, all the tourism.
Okay. All right. But buyers are like, are you finding buyers are back? Because if we're optimistic about next year, rates are coming down, these new mortgage rules are kicking in. An election will happen at some point.
After February 29th or whatever it is, 28th. As soon as Jagmeet
Don't
gets his
ask.
pension.
Right.
As soon as Jagmeet gets his pension, we're getting an election called the next day.
I just wonder how long it's actually going to take to get back to what we would deem a normal moving market transaction.
So are we talking
volume.
like 3 months supply? What's your normal moving market?
Yeah, actually, when we did the live last week, Steve asked me that, like, what would be your ideal market?
Yeah.
And I said 4 months of inventory for everything for 12 months in a row. And it just
That would be fantastic.
Consistency.
It's just consistency.
Yes.
So you see a little bit of price growth. Things are moving. It's not stupid crazy.
Yeah.
But things aren't sitting on the market for 5 months unless they're wildly overpriced. you
And
know.
never a month supply again.
And like, because when there's a month supply and like the shit sells and you're like, oh my God, that property got
Sold for that much with 4 offers?
Yeah, like
What?
what are we doing here?
Right.
Like you start
Who
head
sold
scratching.
that?
So it's like on the either sides of the extreme I wouldn't want. So I guess, like could we get back to that 3 to 5 months of inventory? Transactions go up. I'm not even really thinking prices yet significantly, but just are the transactions going to come back basically?
I think so. And, it's interesting because as you're talking about how like a smaller market's so different.
Yeah.
So if our average sale price is just over 700,000 and we only have 42 or 50 transactions in a month.
Right.
And 7 or 10 are over $1 million.
Right.
That really starts to skew things quickly. in
Yeah,
our
you don't have
market.
enough
So
transactions.
That's right. So you have to really narrow it down
Right.
into the specific
Your
markets.
market could be absorbed so quickly
Exactly.
with almost no transactions.
And especially like the new homes that are being built, it's so like there's so much less inventory on that now.
That's something I want to talk to you about.
So they're
We've never actually talked to Anita in the middle of lockdowns decided to build a house.
Oh yeah,
She was
let's
just like,
just wait
I'm
for
just
the
gonna build a
height.
house right now.
Just wait till the costs go up and start building.
Let's just talk about.
It's really trying to employ the rest of Campbell River.
But in all fairness, it's because I got a lot for half price from my family.
Okay, gotcha.
So if I was going to pay 230,000 less for a lot and build, it
Sure,
made sense.
it made sense to build.
It made sense.
Okay, and now that house is done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like we take 3 to 5 months to build a house.
It doesn't take 14 years like
No.
Toronto.
Oh,
Yeah, she told me, she was like, oh, I'm starting to build my house. And then I'm sure it was many
What's the
months later.
Can you
So
tell me
maybe-
what the
she's like,
approval
I'm done.
process like? Like to get the approvals you need to build that. How long did that take?
Go see-
Like from my engineer drawings to city
do you
approval
think
to
everyone
completion.
on the podcast can hear whoever that is yelling in the hallway?
Oh, I thought you meant I was yelling. I'm like,
No,
I'm
no,
trying
no.
to
I can
talk quietly.
hardly hear
Can
it.
you? Okay, never
Yeah.
mind. Let's keep going. Sorry.
Okay. So are you talking from like actually drafting up the plans with
I guess from when
from
they
city
were
approval to
yes, going to the city and getting the thumbs up that you can start building.
so went to the city end of February, started building middle of April, and took occupancy October 10th,
And how big is this house?
2483.
Isn't that crazy?
That's
So in
crazy.
6 months.
You guys do. This might sound like a dumb question, but
But there's
do you
no
guys
dumb
have
question.
basements out there?
So some have basements, but it depends because we literally live on a rock.
Right.
I live on an island.
Yeah.
So depending if it's like a sloped
Okay.
lot, then a lot of people will build a main level entry walkout basement.
but they're not blasting bedrock.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
right.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think of the Flintstones. That's where I live.
And in your market, Steve, you talk about this a lot, where like houses have trouble selling if they don't have a secondary like income suite in the
Yeah,
basement.
we're a secondary suite, like almost mandatory.
You guys have those there or no?
Well, we do have suites. Like you're looking at me like I live out in the boonies. Like, do you have suites?
Have you
there?
ever heard of a basement before?
But I
We
think like
do, and they are becoming a lot more
because your prices have gone up.
because the price. And I mean, we call like a basement home a Comox box. Like that is
Okay.
literally the nickname, and they're mostly, I would say a large percentage of them now are converting over to suites.
And that would rent for
The top, the bottom. What are we
give
talking?
me like like a nice basement suite.
I would say right now that you're probably getting like 19 to 2,300. It's crazy. Like
What? That's
yes,
more than us.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Our rental has gone crazy. I know My nephew actually was just renting a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo for $2,300 because it allowed dogs, and he has a dog.
Wow.
And I'm
That's
like, Tyler,
lit.
we're getting you in the market. So again,
not
they
that
got
far
family
off.
money, and then the first-time buyers, you know,
Right.
are starting to come in because they're able to afford it compared to what they're paying in rent.
So that's the thing, because in our market, renting has been so much cheaper on a monthly basis, really, for the last 3 years, and not just like it was a huge, like we're talking $1,500, $2,000 cheaper sometimes
Yeah.
to buy the same property and just have a mortgage payment, things like that. In your market, is rent so expensive that if you have the 10, what are you laughing at? That you have
The thumbs up are still going on my computer. I can't figure out how to do this
You were
stupid thing.
laughing at me.
No, you guys can't see it up there.
Okay.
But every time somebody does a thumb up, we did this in the live podcast. There was like a bubble that came up, or like a double thumbs
I only
up.
saw the fireworks with you.
Oh, you
So
saw
that's
the fireworks.
this apparently. Let's see if I can do it. It's not even registering it
Yeah.
right now. So, but it's come up 3 times already on this. So
Okay.
Just sorry to.
No worries, no worries. But rent was so expensive. Like if somebody has a 10% down payment in your market and they're getting in, does it make sense if they're like, for this example, 2,300?
Oh yeah, so he just had 5% down, and his mortgage payment is less
Then
than
the rent.
the rent.
What did he buy?
So he-
Condo?
No, he actually bought what we would call a fixer-upper, like
Yeah.
needing some TLC,
Yeah, yeah.
lots of tools, labor, and cash for this one.
Yeah, yeah.
But he bought it with his sister, and he'll do quite well. Beautiful lot, nice location. He's young, full of energy, and ready to
With
renovate.
5% down,
Mm-hmm.
it's cheaper than the rent payment.
But that's what we're seeing in the Lower Mainland. We're seeing people. I'm going to call it flee to the island.
Yeah.
More so now than Alberta. Alberta was a trend for a while, but they still want that BC lifestyle, so they're going to the island. Right. I just had a brother move to the island, so it's just I can make a life there.
I thought
That's what I mean, the
Wouldn't the
lifestyle.
island, in my mind, not knowing anything about this,
Yeah.
the island to me would sound like an expensive place to live.
Very far south island is still very expensive. Like Victoria is more than Surrey.
And
Right.
even like, Nanaimo, Qualicum, Cowichan.
By the way, Qualicum sounds identical to Coquitlam.
In his head.
I
in
thought
your head.
those were the same places.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
They're
Okay.
totally different.
Well, now I can understand
Yeah.
it. But
like I said, Tom, you should come check it out. So you can.
I've never been to the island.
He also thinks half the realtors fly over from London for some reason, and it's only a 45-minute drive. So
Well, the thing about the island though is like you're stuck, right? You either
Right.
take a ferry or a plane to get off.
So I know I'm not allowed to ask too many questions about lifestyle of your
we're
community.
in it now. We're in
Okay.
we're in the deep
No,
one.
but like I'm actually curious. This is for the viewers, but for me as well. Because so me and Steve flew in. We actually went up to my secondary like cottage property.
Right. Without a suite.
There's no suites there. Yeah.
basement either.
There's no basement there. I don't have a basement. And we were saying like how calm it was and how peaceful it was and amazing. But I was like, I couldn't live here all the time. I'd go crazy. I love Toronto. I love being in the city, but I do love escaping the city. So what do you do? What happens in Campbell River? Is there
Very
is there
little.
great restaurants? Is there
There's some
things?
good
Is there
restaurants.
shows to go see? Is there
I'm- you know,
sports? Like
Yeah, I mean, depending if you want to go watch like, double A hockey or you know what I
So
mean?
no.
It's not really sports. Besides like the children growing up in there.
Right.
But there's definitely, people drive to Victoria, so we're 3 hours to Victoria.
it's 3 hours. Wow.
Yeah. And
Okay.
now there's the new Hulo ferry. Have you gone on it?
No.
So that's 50 minutes to downtown, harbor to harbor, from Nanaimo to downtown, like right by Canada Place.
15.
50.
50,
50.
okay, gotcha.
And when you live on the island, that's a blessing.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
They done another fast ferry? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's like the fast ferries.
Last
You didn't
fast
even know
ferries
about
were
this?
So bad that I don't even know.
So
Why
you
would I go to the island? I have no need
See your
to go
family?
there. I haven't been there in a long
No,
time.
they don't want to see him.
That's true. They're good judges of character. They don't need to see me.
But it's funny, going back to that, it's faster for me to fly to Calgary
Yeah.
and then come to Toronto
Yeah.
because I can just fly out of the Comox airport than it is for me to go to Vancouver.
Oh,
I actually
interesting.
can go to Alberta quicker than I can the island or to Vancouver.
Slightly off topic.
No.
But I was chatting with Steve when we were driving here today because we had like an hour and a half drive and he's there. So I had to talk to him. Right.
Right.
Yeah. I usually try to keep our conversations to the podcast every week and, but we were, I was saying like, it's hard for me to imagine myself not living in Toronto and maybe that's just a weird mindset to be in.
But I'll tell you, we went to this cottage that he has. I call it a house, but he calls it
I
a
saw a
cottage.
picture. I didn't get an invite, but I saw a picture.
So we go out there and we're like going for lunch and buying dinner to cook back at the house and stuff. And I was just like, this little town is so cool. I just could not imagine 52 weeks a year, Friday night. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, you're not.
There's a reason why I was selling a lot of real estate.
Right.
Yeah, I guess, right?
Right? You know what I mean? And so honestly, I go away like every quarter.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what I do is I just will leave.
We just, is this coming out Remembrance Day? This is Remembrance
Just
Day
before, yep.
weekend. My
Yeah.
puppy's here somewhere.
Yep.
So that means next week after this comes out is Grey Cup. I just booked my Grey Cup room. And for the first time in my adult life, I am splitting a hotel room with our friends and we're getting 2 queen beds because it's ungodly
Thanks for sharing that,
how
Steve.
much. Don't worry, there's 2
Steve
queens.
took the cheap option. Surprise,
Weird.
surprise.
Oh,
Yeah.
Steve's cheap.
So-
Oh, insert joke here. Save 20% on realtor.com/Tom right now. But what I'm like 2 nights for Grey. Granted, it's Grey Cup.
This is in Vancouver.
This is in downtown Vancouver.
Okay.
2 nights for any hotel room anywhere after taxes was $1,300.
Wow.
So I'm like, I can't. So I'm like calculating the Uber costs to like come all the way 45 minutes back home. You know, do we train in? Is the train safe? I don't know. So we ended up finding a double queen room and we're going to share it with the friends that were going to the game.
And it's still going to cost you $600
It's
for
still
2
going
nights.
to cost us
It's not even-
$600. It's not even a deal, right? It's absolutely stunning if you do want to even hang out in Vancouver, what it costs.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Cheaper just to fly to Mexico. And
That's what I was going to say.
Right.
For a
We
week.
we ended up in Vegas not that long ago because it was cheaper to go to Vegas than a staycation,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
right? Absolutely insane.
It is
So
insane.
the Lions were out, so I don't know who won right before this, but
No idea.
Bombers? I'm betting Bombers. What do you think? You guys have no idea.
I don't know what teams
I'm not
are.
betting.
You guys have to. How can you be Canadian and not have been to a Grey Cup? Have you ever been to a Grey Cup?
No.
Sometimes I'm watching TV and curling comes on by mistake. So I feel like I do my part by allowing it to be on the TV. That's
It's not curling. You realize it's football, right?
no, I know Grey Cup is football. I'm talking about just
It's like
generally.
the Scotty tournament of
Talking about
hearts.
sports in general.
Just talking about sports in general.
Dude, go to Grey Cup. Comment down below if you support Grey Cup.
You know,
It's fantastic.
I
This will be my
I
fourth
say this
one,
with
and
love
they're
because I
fantastic.
don't follow Canadian football, but like it seems like from Toronto, the teams that win the championships are the teams that
Nobody
have the,
cares about.
Well, not that nobody cares about, but fewer people are invested in their success. Other than the Raptors won, that was pretty cool.
The next time Grey Cup
Maybe the Leafs just suck.
is in Toronto, we're going. I was
Are you sharing a room with Tom?
He
will be.
at his house.
He'll be at my house.
You guys
Right.
always share a room.
We do. We're sharing the room right behind me. This is my bed right here.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
Tom's bed.
I got this for free, so yeah.
From how did you do that?
Just didn't.
Because
I just
I book a
didn't
room.
offer to pay.
Oh.
Basically,
I book a room, and then you know what he does? He's like, do you have a room for the conference?
well, it's because like I wouldn't book one for myself because I could just drive here, but it would be a 45-minute battling traffic drive every morning, so it's just nice.
Tom's paying for dinner tonight.
Yeah, that's
Perfect.
fine.
what
That's
goes
fine.
around comes
Everybody
around.
likes it on the podcast when I have my hand by my mouth, right?
I know that
What is this podcast about?
that we try to be less. Well, at least I personally try to be not as political on the podcast. Where Steve, it's very hard for him to stay on track here. But I would like to know a third perspective on just what's the vibe. I'm not even asking for you or your thoughts on this, but generally your friend group, where you live, the conversations you have with people. What are people leaning towards? Are they very happy with their current government? Are they excited the fact there's gonna be an election next year? What's the internal?
Like, are you asking? Are you a conservative?
No, not you.
leaning?
No, not you.
No, I mean
Will
like
you
in
out
general.
yourself publicly on this podcast to say who you're voting for?
No, but I'm always curious to know, like, what are people's friends saying? And maybe if you're one way, you hang out with people that are the same as you. So
I would say, in all honesty, especially, well, I'm gonna think before I speak here on this one, but I would say we're definitely seeing a lot of people wanting a change.
yeah,
North Island is rural, so it's fairly conservative, right? Like we just went through that in our election where it was like the rural areas, for the most part, flipped to the Conservative Party of BC, and then the cities stayed NDP, right? So I
Why do you think it is that the
considering
cities and like most of Ontario is very liberal and Vancouver's
Because
obviously
cities are
NDP?
liberal.
Why are cities liberal?
Hey folks, if you're looking for a real estate agent in the city of Toronto, let's face it, you gotta call my buddy Tom Storey of the Storey team and Royal LePage Signature in Toronto, Ontario. They're your obvious choice because Tom is not just the co-host of this podcast. No, he is a real life and top producing real estate agent in the city of Toronto. There's nobody out there that knows the condo market better than Tom and his team in downtown, but they do service the entire city of Toronto and any of your residential real estate needs. So if you're looking for an agent, do not hesitate to reach out to Tom, book a call with him using the link down below in the description of this podcast, and let Tom guide you through your real estate journey. And now back to the podcast.
Jesus, this is the wrong.
I'm like,
This is the wrong podcast
now.
for that. Right? I mean, they just are. That's where the
us what you
liberal
think,
folks
Steve.
end up. No, we probably shouldn't. Probably shouldn't. I don't want to lose it. Well, that's not true. Most of our listeners are voting conservative, so.
Well, we asked them on a poll once. and
Oh, did you?
Well, we asked
You
them
know
on the
what's
channel, and they said
crazy?
it was like 80% said
It was
they
like
were.
85%, but you know it's crazy. So we actually had Keith, and then he
Okay.
reached out to the shadow housing minister.
Yeah.
And it was one of our most worst performing podcasts because it was like all conservative.
It was one way, right?
And it went like
It still did
I
fine.
was shocked at how YouTube didn't push it out, and I didn't think that was a thing. It's a thing. Let's talk about housing. What's happening in 2025? Let's get off this stuff.
All right,
we won't
fine.
be there. No, everybody's gonna be like, we don't want to talk about politics and all that.
But it is kind of fun to talk about.
it's super fun to talk about.
Yeah.
but that's not
As long as people don't get too heated about it and can have real conversations. But
We should be able to have real conversations, but they don't. I don't know.
This is real life. This is happening.
do you guys actually have inventory coming to the market? Like right now, you've got a lot for sale.
So I think right now I have 11 listings,
Yeah.
like personally.
Yeah.
And I have 3 new listings coming on this week.
Okay.
So that's
And it's like, we're nearing the end of the year now.
Yeah, 11th month.
So why? That's interesting. Why are those 3 new listings not waiting till January?
relocation, tenant leaving, not wanting to re-rent,
Yeah.
and death.
Okay. So this actually, I'm happy that's what you said. Not that someone
Oh,
died.
I'm
That's
like-
not what I meant.
When did you say
So
that?
we're going from politics to being happy about death here, Tom?
Let me rephrase that.
This is the first official show where Tom has completely derailed the show.
Look at what I do to
normally
you,
it's
Tom.
normally it's Steve, but
Now I'm worried about what he's saying.
no. I'm happy that you gave me 3 examples of people that were selling because of situational life things. Because my entire business has been people that are in similar, like had a baby, have to upsize, moving here because of a job, moving away because of a job. Like we've done estate sales as well. And it seems to be that all the transactions that are happening, at least in our market right now, are like a need to do it or like a strong want.
That's right.
Where like 2021, early 22 transactions were like happening on a whim because we were sitting on so much cash that Canadians weren't used to. We're like, I have to do something with it. I'm going to upsize my house, right? So moving into next year, do you think more of the like this would be nice person comes back to the market?
I do think that, and the interesting thing that I've seen in the last 3 months too, you just kind of had a little squirrel moment for
Yeah.
me, but people that have always wanted to live in BC,
Yeah.
but don't want to go to the Okanagan anymore because of all the fires there in the last 8 years
Right.
and for their quality of air. But so it was either the Okanagan or the island, but
legit.
now the island is just like their number one pick. And then, like I said,
Right.
we're the last one on the north end of a city, and we're the cheapest. So like our single family dwellings are about 120 to 150,000 cheaper than the Comox Valley consistently for the last 19 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay. And the Okanagan is super expensive, no?
Super expensive, I would
Don't
say.
they have like so much inventory right now? Like nothing is
They're
moving.
struggling.
Yeah, I've heard that from a few different people.
They're struggling.
Are they? I don't.
From what I understand, they've been
Like,
really,
are we talking
really
the
slow.
Kelowna market or?
Yeah, like I've sent a bunch of clients in the last little bit up to like Kim and
Right.
her sons, and they had an easy time finding exactly what they wanted.
Oh, buyers.
Buyers.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
there was lots of inventory. They got what they wanted. I don't know how I would feel about the fires now. It's so crazy now.
It is
like
so
when you go
crazy.
up there every summer now, you're like, how much smoke do we have to deal with?
Well, and I'm finding that most of the people that I've seen coming to our marketplace say that they stay inside like 80 to 90% of the time during the summer.
Isn't the whole point you move there is to
That
like
enjoy the
What
summer.
you do in Surrey too, isn't it?
that just goes
Well, I'm
nothing
not supposed to be positive, but it's definitely not what you do on the island.
It's true. It's tough. I don't think the interior is the answer for a lot of folks anymore.
No, it's not. It's just, and I have a lot of family up there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people tried to go there, but then they realized it's not that much more affordable either, right? That's why Calgary became such a thing.
Right.
And now we got vacancy taxes, so everybody with their vacation properties had an issue. Like,
How much are those vacancy taxes? Is it based on the assessed value?
I don't know. They were talking about they were going to double it if they won the election, so I'm sure it's going to be double.
Everything's going to change really soon, Tom.
Like they were just like, if we're going to triple down on our vacancy.
If the
tax.
original tax isn't working, let's
So
just
that's the conversation
increase
Tom,
that tax.
Tom and I were having. So we were like, he's got this beautiful cottage where his kids can run free. There's a lake. There's all this like awesomeness. The stars. We were sitting in the hot tub where I wanted to do the last podcast from, but Tom wouldn't do it.
The stars were aligned.
They
Tom
were.
actually had a
Orion,
drink.
he showed me Orion's belt.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Leave that one alone. But so we're sitting there and like we're staring up at it. Like everything was awesome. And I said, like, if you earn this for yourself through your hard work of your life, should you not then be able to have that and also have like a condo downtown Vancouver, downtown Toronto, whatever, where you can like escape to, or like you work and then you have your escape. And the BC government says, no, you're not allowed to have that.
It's not that they say no; they just want you to pay extra.
Heavily for it.
Yeah. If you've done well, you deserve, your income tax isn't even,
So you're just being
four
penalized
times.
for working really hard.
You're being penalized. My goodness. This is why we have her
That's
here.
why you guys
Oh,
are,
this is. You should see.
You
You
said it
don't
before
want to
Steve said it.
actually hear our conversations on the weekly.
She can actually put what I'm thinking in my brain into words. But that's it. You're being penalized for like, I have done something in my life good enough where I can own 2 homes and I can supply this to my family. And they're like, not fair. It is fair.
It is,
But
fair.
it's not. And thankfully right now you don't have to deal with that where you're at because
the second property is not in Toronto, so there
Yeah.
is no vacancy
Yeah.
tax. Yeah.
like, but I've thought about that too. Like even just with downtown Vancouver, I would love to have a bachelor suite to go crash, go to more football games, send clients to, like just use it. But they're like, nope.
So
allowed.
let me do what I typically do, which is play the other side and push back on you on this.
You're lucky
Okay.
Anita's between us.
I
really
swinging
stuck
right
in the
now.
middle here.
There's someone listening to this right now, okay, that's been working their ass off trying to save just for a down payment for their first property for a little condo in downtown Toronto or Vancouver. And they're hearing this being like, God, Steve, whoever this person is, I know it's me in this example, but they already have they have 2 properties. They got to enjoy their cottage. Why do I have to compete against them when I'm just trying to get into the property ladder and they already have other properties? And this is their like secondary fun house. Like I shouldn't have to compete with that.
Why not?
So that buyer could probably move to Campbell River for $250,000 for
should
a
have to
condo.
compete with that.
So you can buy a condo in Campbell River for $250.
Yeah, my daughter just bought one for $240,000.
Okay, how many square feet is that?
It's 816.
And I'm guessing it has parking in Toronto. Not everything has parking. It's weird to say
I
that.
noticed that parking's a big thing in Toronto. It has lots of parking. They have 2 vehicles and
And is that a view of?
mountains.
Okay,
Mountains.
Which is the bad view.
It is a
in
bad
BC
view.
because it's not the ocean,
gotcha.
right?
Okay.
You need the ocean view. Otherwise, if you have to look at those mountains, you're a peasant.
Wait. Okay.
Whoa! This peasant just got into the market. Okay, I'm going to be positive
I'm
here and
joking.
go, yay for getting in.
I'm joking. Yeah,
Wait.
no, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
I want to rewind.
Sorry.
Before you had said that, I think it was your nephew rented a condo.
Yeah.
For $2,300.
But that was a brand new condo.
okay.
So,
So what would this condo?
So this
have
was like
rented
built
for?
in, that condo probably would have rented. I'm going to guess. They actually did have tenants in it, but they believe they were in there for like 3 years. prior, and they were paying like $14.50. So
but
that was like 2023 when she bought it. So they would have been in like probably in 2019.
So it's what, 16 now? 17 maybe? I
They've
don't
done
know.
some nice upgrades,
Okay.
but yeah, probably 16,
Why
17.
why
isn't
all
everyone
the-
buying that?
Yeah, why aren't the tenants buying? Like that's
Well, and I think a lot of
so-
it is education and getting the down payment.
Yeah.
Right. So if people are living paycheck to paycheck and not being able to save a huge amount, and when you look at over the time. So in all honesty, obviously I chipped in a bit for my daughter, and her boyfriend's dad chipped in, and like it was like, let's get you into the market,
But a
because I was
5% down payment on that's
15,000.
yeah, 12,500 basically.
well, exactly.
Yeah.
And then at least even like,
And then it's cheaper than rent.
well, and it's funny because they were talking about going to Alberta, but I'm like, even if, obviously they could have probably got something in Alberta for the same price, but I'm like, even if
But a house?
No, this is a condo she got.
Yeah, but like in Alberta, they could get
For
a
a
house.
condo? No, you guys
No.
would. I believe you could get a
gonna-
condo in Alberta for probably under 300.
Oh no,
too.
for sure. Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought they meant like
No,
either
but
buy-
they were talking about moving there. So I'm like, even
Okay.
if you buy and get in the market and pay rent in Alberta, at least you're in the market somewhere,
Right.
right? Like at least you're in.
I don't know. It seems pretty affordable to me. I don't know. Everybody's whining about affordable. You just go to Campbell River and you're set.
That's what Steve kept saying as we were driving here today. He's like, "Look at all this land."
AnitaPainter.com. .ca? Which one is it?
Calm.
Content.com. AnitaPainter.com. They don't provide discounts, but she will get you an affordable home for less than rent. Guaranteed.
Steve or Tom could refer you though. There's
Yeah. No, just go direct to the source.
There will be some sort of link down below in the description. Reach out to Anita.
Did you invest in real estate ever? Like, did you buy properties?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But,
Do you own rentals now?
I had rentals for 11 years, but if we want to slide into the divorce train, so so no, I don't currently have any rentals, but I will by the end of 2025. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
When did you
donate
can
to
I-
my children?
right. Yeah. Fair. When did you start investing in real estate?
Like when was my first home? I guess that would have been 25 years ago.
Okay. But investment or just buying your first
Buying
property?
my first property.
Okay.
yeah.
But like not for you to live in?
Investing
Yeah.
would have been 2009.
I always wonder because one of the things that comes up a lot in like our community of real estate agents, I guess, is like everyone talks about how many homes they sell and all these dumb awards no one actually cares about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you buy homes too? Did you invest along the way? If you just sold them, there's no guarantee your net worth is anything.
Yeah. Well, this one, in all honesty, it's funny because here's a drama story for you, Steve. It was like, so my kids were younger and we had this one rental and it was a basement home. So it was 2 suites.
Yeah.
Had this younger lady who worked for the hospital. And then I guess she got a boyfriend that went a little sideways.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it's a small community. So
You know everything.
I got a call from 334, which is a Comox number, 911.
Oh.
At like 1:30 in the morning. My husband's in camp. My kids are younger. And I'm like, why is 911 calling me? So I answer the phone and they're saying that the tenant downstairs is being held at knife point and that, they're going to have to damage my property and kick down the door unless I want to bring them a key. So the upstairs tenant had phoned the cops. They had the whole SWAT team shut down the road.
I'm surprised they even called you to ask
Well,
permission.
but like I said, it's a small community, so
Right.
he knew like that it was because the upstairs tenant had said, "Well,
Right.
our landlords need a painter," blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I drive down there, wake my kids up, heart palpitating, stressed right out. Go up down there. They did some damage and stuff. So that was the reason I sold my first rental property, is because I didn't want to deal with it.
Welcome to Tenants in Campbell River. The other side of the story.
That was a while ago. But yeah,
Is the tenant profile in Campbell River?
so the tenant, that was the tenant's boyfriend.
Okay.
It wasn't
It
actually
wasn't the
even
tenant.
my tenant.
No, but it's
It happens.
small towns are not. That's like people don't realize when you're looking into small towns that they actually have usually a higher per capita crime problem per capita.
Yeah.
So not overall, but like the higher per person.
I
The
wouldn't
crime
say
rates
so
are
much
actually
crime,
usually
but
higher.
like maybe
Definitely
drug use.
Domestics, like it does happen more. Like when there's something in BC called the Crime Severity Index. I'm from Surrey. Everybody's like, you can't go to Surrey. Better safe than Surrey. All these stupid things that they
Oh,
talk
I've
about.
got a
right?
couple, but I'll keep that quiet.
So
for
just so
now.
you know, totally. They're usually about women, but we're not going to do that. Vancouver has a worse crime severity index than Surrey does. Langley has a worse crime severity index than Surrey does. But the worst crime is like Terrace, BC.
Oh,
Right? They're like,
Is that a
are
very
you checking
small-
this monthly, daily? Like how
comes out
often?
every year
See?
in Maclean's magazine.
He's got the he's got the ham radio, and he's just waiting for the
Not that I
calls.
make
You can
a-
phone me next time.
Not
Steve,
that I
and
make
tell
a
me where
new
Campbell River
YouTube
is.
video about it for clickbait every year on my channel. I definitely don't do that. But so Maclean's magazine, I think, publishes it, and it's called the Crime Severity Index. So interesting. The majority of Surrey's crime is actually non-violent crime. Lots of fraud, stuff like that. Maybe a few of those. We can't call them Brampton loans anymore. We call them Surrey loans now. Right? Like whatever they are, like it's actually fraudulent stuff going on. It's not actually violent crime. Right?
But that doesn't show up differently on those reports. It just
It
all
does.
clumped.
They have
Oh,
two
okay.
different levels of it. They have overall crime, violent
Right.
crime, non-violent crime. And that's why like Surrey's safer than you think it is. It is.
Glad you feel safe in Surrey, Steve.
Better safe than Surrey. That's a hack joke.
Has Surrey always had that
Yes.
that reputation?
Yes. There's always
When I said Surrey, my phone thought I was saying Siri.
I'm sure
That
my
must be an
phone's over
issue,
there
yeah.
probably recording our whole conversation
Yeah.
right now. Actually, remember that thing we were talking about on the way in where we said our phone's listening to you?
Yeah.
Another video popped up about that.
Oh,
It's
that-
actually
yeah.
a Stephen Harper thing, but another video popped up about that. And then saunas. I was like, Tom, you need a sauna out at your cottage. And then I opened up my phone
Right
and they're
away.
trying to sell me saunas.
Kind of scary. I left
Yeah.
my phone way over there just so it wouldn't hear us.
It'll hear us.
Eventually, you'll get ads for some weird stuff.
They are listening. Everybody's listening.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Oh no. Reverse.
Wait a second. This is not how this works.
Why not?
No, go for it.
So how long have you been in real estate? Is this your first?
This is 11.
Oh,
Is this your first year, Tom Story?
Yeah.
No,
Just trying to make it through. 11 years now. Almost 11 full. It'll be 11 in next February.
Okay.
No, so I got my license February 2014. That market was kind of just calm, like
Right.
nothing was crazy, but I was mostly doing leases in my first year anyways. It was different. It's different in Toronto, kind of how we start our businesses off. And then from about 2015 to 2017, it went nutso in terms of just transaction volume. I actually think we broke 100,000 sales at the end of 2015.
Nice.
And this year, just to put that in context, the Toronto Real Estate Board is going to do 67,000.
Okay.
So 10 years ago, we did 100,000 transactions. Now we're going to do, and our population's growing significantly since then. So we went through that. 2017 was crazy. It did dip down. We had, I think it was called Fair Housing Act. It was like foreign buyer tax. They brought in blanket rent control for everything, which was changed again after. So in a roundabout way of answering the question, we've had a few dips along the way, but for me, because we do have such a market share in condos, when the pandemic hit, actually, when all the homes were selling for crazy numbers, condos were just dropping every single month because everyone was leaving the city
Oh, okay.
and never coming back.
So,
Which they did come back, but
So where your actual database was is when it started to drop from sales in 2020 for the condos? Because you basically, yeah. Okay.
Basically. So we went through a real, like, even though today's condo market has more inventory, there's more on the market, and arguably it's worse, prices dropped so fast in 2020.
What about 2017 though?
Condos weren't affected.
If you need insurance, you need to go where I go, squareone.ca. At squareone.ca, you can get a quote done in just a matter of minutes. If you're a tenant, landlord, or a homeowner and you need a policy, go to squareone.ca, or better yet, go to squareone.ca/The Tom Storey Show and save $20. That's squareone.ca/The Tom Storey Show for your discount on home insurance right now.
No. that was a detached thing.
2017 was a detached thing. I believe the first 4 months of that year, we went up 26%. Just from January sales number to April sales number, came in with the big announcement from our provincial government, but it was mostly it was the burbs, like areas like Durham. They immediately saw a big drop off, and Toronto saw it as well. But for whatever reason, condos weren't as impacted. Houses really felt it.
Do you want to hear something super secret we could never put on the internet?
Oh, yeah. Sounds like this is a good place to tell me a
some pretty
secret.
impressive numbers. My friend Tom Storey sells some condos.
Well, I know. And that's why I was curious of how long you've been in for
Yeah.
riding out. Like, is this your first
No,
downward on your roller coaster?
I will say this is the longest the longest the market has been in this place.
Right.
like other ups and downs we've seen have been aggressive but over fairly quickly. This has been the longest ride of, like we were talking about when we first hit record, which was like, you know, getting things done now is making sure that sellers are just understanding the market and they're not jumping up and down or like,
Yeah, just
oh my
having-
God, we got this. Like it's just like, okay,
Clear expectations. This is where we're at.
because it's not, and I'm trying, and I've even changed my approach at every meeting I go into. It's like I'm almost like, not that I'm negative to meet with people for the first time, but I'm like, I just want to be like, I don't want to overpromise you. Like it's going to be kind of hard. Like even if we do everything right, it could take this long.
You got to set the expectation.
Absolutely.
We listed a condo last week and we got a ton of showings on it. And even though in the listing it literally said like, please leave on all the lights, do not use the bathroom, because I had a client that was just like, you know, totally understand it. I don't want people to use my bathroom either. They're walking through my house. Every single time she came home, the freaking toilet seat was up, even though it was like, so it's just so frustrating. I'm going off topic here.
That's okay.
But
Here's the thing. Last time I checked, everybody else has to pee and poop.
I'm not saying it's illegal to use someone's bathroom. I'm just saying
like the people that are like,
it's a condo building that has amenities on the first
How-
floor with public bathrooms.
how
Like,
dare you use my bathroom? I do get that every once in a while. And I understand, listen, you're not going in there and dropping an atomic bomb. I get it, right? But man, guess what? I'm out there, just as a realtor even, I'm out there showing properties 8 hours in a row.
Right.
I'm going to need to use the bathroom at some point in time. And
but stop it at Tim Hortons. Don't pee in the house.
I just sellers.
So you
let
do pee
people-
in the house, Steve?
I will usually ask the agent if they're there, but hey, it's had to happen every now and again. What am I going to do? I know I'm going to be 15 minutes late for somebody else's showing,
Right.
or I can go right here. Like, I don't know. It's
Hopefully they're not recording from
not
inside the
end of-
bathroom.
yeah.
Right?
Hey, I ain't impressing anybody with anything. So
That's actually another good point. Is that
they record everything
Is-
inside the
is-
house.
you
Yeah.
need
Now
to
it's
you
so
need to know
disgusting.
if you're viewing properties. It should be put on the listing if
I
there's
actually
recording
tell
devices.
every buyer,
They don't.
Just whatever. Yeah, I
Don't
know,
say
but I
a
actually
thing.
say don't say a thing. It could
Yeah.
really
Which
harm
is
you
a
in the
negative, by the way.
negotiate. Yeah.
Which is a massive negative, because my job as a realtor when I'm in there is to move my client forward to purchasing a home. So as soon as I see anything that's being recorded, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have a tough time selling this home because I have to sell the features while I'm in the home.
Yeah.
And as soon as I see a recording device, I'm like,
So is that something you
I'll
ask
be
your
like-
sellers?
If they have recording devices?
No.
Yeah.
I don't ask my sellers. I do not. But if I'm in with a buyer, I will be like, that is a camera. The seller is listening to us. Don't say anything.
But maybe that's like a flip of how we can start educating our sellers to make sure that they're not, because it's actually a selling feature.
Such a stupid
To not
thing.
for the
Regular.
buyers not to feel like they're being
Yeah.
watched.
The Ring doorbells, right? Just as they're going in. Or
Well,
they're
the
coming
ring
out.
is fine
It just drives me nuts.
No, that's fine though. It's
Yeah.
it's the cameras that are hidden
in the
house.
house that record
I
everything.
understand it's all fine and it's their property. That's where we have trouble. But at the same time, you're hindering my ability to actually sell your property for you, because I'm not. Here's the thing, that there's probably 80-90% of the agents that aren't having a productive conversation in the house anyway. So it really doesn't matter.
You think is that high?
You don't work in our markets.
No, I don't.
Yeah. You don't work in our markets where most of the people are part-time.
You guys are a lockbox
Most of the
market.
people are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually gonna sort of cut you off.
Cut me off.
Okay.
This is the Tom Storey
I
Show.
don't
Anita,
know.
In case you didn't know.
I'm very well aware of what my rules are here in Ontario, and I'm not saying anything bad about another realtor. I saw a social media post. It was a sponsored thing, and it was an agent not from Toronto. They were out, I think, in Vancouver. I don't know who they were, but their whole thing was about like, I'm not like the other agents. I would never use a lockbox to allow
Correct.
people
That is the argument.
to view my property. I'm going to be there to walk them through, explain the house to them.
And
But I think that
do
also-
such little business that I have the time and availability in order to do that.
But
So
it's
hire
not-
me because you're my only sale this year.
But I don't even
Why
think
would a
that's
seller
a
care about that,
benefit.
though?
Yeah, but it's not a benefit to the seller because the buyers don't feel super comfortable
No,
with
but
their
there's less
agent there.
flexibility
But
with the
here's what
showings.
they do. It's BS, because here's what those agents
It's just
do.
a Vancouver thing, is it not?
It is a Vancouver thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Because so what happened is, don't sue me, Competition Bureau.
Mm.
What happened is there's so many agents that they had
Steve
to
thinks
do
saying
something.
"don't sue me" is just going to get him out of ever being sued.
Well, this is just a matter of opinion and not my business practices. So there's so many agents out there that the only way they can win the listing is to say, I will be
be here."
here in order to be a doorman, because this is the only thing I can show value to, is actually opening the door. Look at me, I open doors. This is what I can do for a living. So they go, I will be there. That is not my value as a realtor. It shouldn't be my value. So that is their value proposition to their clients, and that's the only thing a client can see. Right? They don't see the stuff.
That's a very good point.
Right?
Yep.
So they don't see the stuff we actually do to get their home sold. So they view this as like, oh, they're there, so I'm going to pick that guy. Okay, I get it. But at the same time, what they don't see is how many of those agents cancel showings for my buyers because they're not be available there at that time.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, can you tell your seller that you're not available? Right. Now, here's the downside. I am now having trouble having lockboxes on my place because the agents are so poorly prepared or have never accessed a lockbox before. They don't know how to use them.
Wait, these are Vancouver agents showing in your market.
They're usually Vancouver agents.
Right.
And then the problem is what was happening is because Vancouver agents are coming out to us, so it's a 35, 40-minute drive.
They're coming to us too.
They don't want, really?
How are they? Were they taking the ferry?
Yeah, they're taking the ferry.
Ferry
They're
and
not
showing.
flying over. They are taking the ferry.
So they do that. And then what they were doing for a while is they were just sending their client, and their client is showing, I think our lights just went
closing
out.
time.
It actually is getting close. No, they're right there, Tom. They probably overheated or something. I bet you those lights overheated. Oh, no, it's the front one, I bet. And hey, we're back on. Look at that, hotel rooms saving energy, saving carbon tax money. So what they would do is they would send their clients to the home with the lockbox code, and a client would go through unsupervised because it's very common they would kick back half of their commission. So they're like, you go, no, I'm not doing any work. Like, I had to kick you back 50%.
But if the real estate boards just got to a point where like you lose your license if you do that shit.
It's so funny. Okay, we'll get there, but it's immediate $10,000 fine.
Good.
But in my market, the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board members drive the market, or they drive the board. So when they actually vote on things like expulsion for massive fraud, the members voted down. It's crazy because you got to think you've got 65-70% of the members doing probably no business, and then they'll vote down stuff that is not in favor of full-time agents or whatever, right? So it's really trouble. That's the problem we've had with like when Keith Roy was on, right? Keith Roy was advocating for more ethics on the ethics committee, and he got kicked off the ethics committee because they were worried that it was going to be too...
I'm glad you were laughing too.
No, he was like, we need these high standards for realtors. And the ethics committee kicked him off because they were worried that the Competition Bureau was going to come after them for advocating to kick out all these people that are doing terrible things,
right? Because
it was anti-competitive. So I understand the real estate board's point of view, but the ethics committee should be shooting for higher ethics.
Well, and there should be something, like even like I was saying, the Vancouver agent came over into our market, wrote an offer on one of my properties in the spring, had all of these conditions. It's like, well, this is on city services. Did you look at the listing? Why do we have a septic inspection? Like, you know what I mean? And they don't know. And they want always these 1-day codes. It's like, we don't have 1-day codes.
I should read you sometime, Tom, my 1-day code message on our like messaging system between realtors. And it says like, we do not supply 1-day codes. There will be no exemptions guaranteed. No, if you beg, cry, or whatever, you will not be granted.
You're just getting to everything that's going to come.
Even if it's quite
Explain
funny
to the listener what a 1-day code is, because I don't think people know.
So we don't use the same lockboxes you guys use. We use electronic lockboxes that have different codes for different people, but we don't need codes as realtors because our phone scans our face.
Gotcha.
And then opens it up Bluetooth.
Okay.
So the realtors,
that's good because it's like a timestamp of when you went in too.
Exactly. Like if I get an email every time one of my lockboxes is opened, I get an email that says this is who opened it. This is when they returned the keys.
That's great.
Like I get it all.
Why do we not have that?
Why don't you have
that?
Because it
great for feedback.
Because it would cost you guys money. And so that's actually the thing. So the Vancouver agents have access to it, but because they don't use it, it was $168 a year.
Oh, they don't want to get the app, so they ask for a 1-day code instead. Okay,
correct.
Understood.
So it's $168 a year to have access to Century Lock, which is the app. And agents are like, well, I don't use this in my business. I'm like, okay, well, we don't use lockboxes in Vancouver. I'm like, cool. Is my listing in Vancouver? They're like, no, it's in White Rock. Yeah, we use lockboxes in White Rock. But to think that you won't, can you imagine if you hired a carpenter to come over and they were like, hey, I can do this job for you, but I'm going to need to borrow your hammer. And you're like, wait, that hammer is going to cost me $160. I know this is a $25,000 job, but that hammer is going to cost me $165. Not going to do it. And that's literally the argument. So I'm obviously on the side of lockboxes because they save a ton of time. And as an agent, you should be able to know how to open and close a door and lock up a property. But now I'm seeing
I will say what I am happy about when I first started my career, they still had the like old school ones that you'd, those suckers sometimes challenge me when I'm in like the hallway of a condo building and you got your foot in the door so it doesn't lock you in. Yeah, but the old ones, you know,
like 32 right.
Tom probably didn't even have those in high school.
I did. But no, they weren't the regular combo locks. They were hard. It's hard to explain this, but they were very tough. And you'd really have to think and you have to go double back this way. And,
really have to.
And no, but you're doing it. Your client's watching you do it.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm looking like an idiot if I don't get this open.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like showing a rental in a condo and you're like in the stairwell and your foot's in the door so it doesn't, and then you take your foot out, it goes, the door locks on you, you're stuck, you have to go up 5 floors to get back. Anyways. So I'm happy that those old ones are no longer used, and we just have the nice, easy lock boxes that we use now.
Yeah.
Are we? How are we on time? Are we good?
We are an hour and 2 minutes in.
Oh, wow.
Perfect. We're perfect time. It's almost dinner time.
Ooh.
Is it dinner time?
Anita,
I don't know if it's
I always-
dark out. It's like
it's
3:30. So
It
it's
got dark real quick in here.
Quick. Typically at the end of these podcasts, I ask Steve for words of wisdom, in which he tries his best, but nothing good comes out.
Okay.
So I'd like to ask you. This can be non-real estate focused because I feel like we've done this episode not as much as normal have we done full real estate, but we've come back to it several times. People watching this, life advice, anything you'd want to pass on?
Well, I think I'll say everything starts with mindset.
Yeah.
So, what do you mean, Steve?
I didn't say that. He said that.
No, that was me.
Oh, I thought
All right.
that was Steve. I was like,
Okay,
never
so
Steve,
can we
talk about
can we
this.
go just a little long just because everybody, you can feel free to tune out now if you are a consumer because it's for real estate agents. So we're here for RRI, of which Tom and I, well, this is actually how we all met. We
Yep.
became
Yep.
such
We
good
were
friends.
for, like,
we
a-
need Rodrigo
We got
and
Rod
Cody
and
here.
Cody.
That's what I said. If there
and
was
we
a
should
two of
have
us,
everybody and do an old school group. But what are you guys looking for to come out of this week?
Energy.
Yeah.
Ooh, I feel more energized than I've felt in a while.
Oh.
So,
That's my
Was
gonna
that
be
gonna
my
be yours?
no,
Sorry.
but it is now because that's better than what I was gonna say.
yeah, raise your vibration, Steve.
I just feel like it's so like blah right now. It's like, like that's kind of the problem with doing this.
That's why I was just saying about, or that's what I was just saying about sellers, and I think collectively, like across, like people are feeling blah,
Everyone's
and
just
it's like,
kinda-
why, I don't know, why aren't we excited just to have your health, be alive, and have a pretty good life? Let's be honest, Steve, you have a pretty good life.
Yeah. Oh, I got a fantastic.
Really?
life.
Like, I mean, it starts with that. Mm-hmm. And
That's I'm hoping for a little bit of energy here because I don't usually come to that. I'm like motivation, screw motivation's nothing. But it's like lately it's been like it's actually something I've been struggling with, particularly on this podcast, is having like energy to talk about something, and it's not because prices are crashing and all that stuff. It's like
I'm going to buy you a present, and I can't wait. Wait till I've got an idea, and
Buy me a present. Yes, buy me a present.
of course.
Buy me a new bottle of booze.
No,
'cause
it's
I
not
can't
going to
bring
be
that
booze.
home
It's
with
going to
me.
be something.
Buy it for me. I won't drink it for a year, and then Steve
You'll
will
leave
get
it in your
Yeah.
cabin for him.
But that's like why we come here, right? Like I'm just always looking for that one thing to implement in my business. I feel like my business is just chugging along, but now I need like one of those like inspirational like talks or whatever to like really get you feel like you want to
Like your why iOS,
again, right?
What is your why?
I don't even know what that is.
What? Mine's
I did
challenge.
the thing. No, I did the thing.
What's
I
your-
should look it up. I
I
didn't
haven't
understand
done
it.
I haven't done it.
I didn't understand it.
YouTube,
But you know what I have been
It was
doing?
like strategy or something. I don't know what that.
Okay.
I
For
don't
the
know what
last
that
almost
means.
2 months, I've been actually writing in a journal every morning and every night.
with gratitude.
Yep, gratitude
Yeah.
journal. Because Steve, we were talking about it on an episode a while ago.
Yeah.
How and he was going back to all the things he said, and now he's finally doing most of them.
Yeah.
And I just started that again too. So I have a book. It's like one of these books, like just blank
Like
pages.
the 5-minute journal type of thing.
Well, it's just, I think it's 21 lines, I want to say, on a page. So every morning, work morning, I can't do that hungover, so work morning, I just write down, and I start with like my goal weight, which is lower than it is now, by the way. But like, yeah, goal, income, goal,
Whose
whatever.
is it besides Tom? Really, Tom's had
Tom
one
doesn't
thing
even know what his
consistent.
weight
He's
is.
like, his weight's been consistent.
We were talking about that today. I told him, I'm like, you're getting
Way to
close,
go,
man.
Tom.
I'm
By
getting
the time
old. I
he's
gotta
40,
start
he's
taking
got
it
to start
seriously.
worrying about his health and stuff, right?
Well, no, but I'm going to be honest, like mindset. And the reason why I said that is because I've always worked on that. And I would think you guys were the first year we met. That was one of the questions that you asked me. Or, well, you asked the whole group, right? Like, how do you stay so positive? And you were maybe speaking some conversations about people in your market that you work with and how you have a hard time with your being positive.
Oh, I hate working with
Right?
idiots. Yeah. I hate working with idiots. No, but what I said there is my mindset is one that's like a negative first. So I poo-poo people first.
Yeah.
I always
See,
look for
and
the
remember
negative
what my
first,
answer was? Like,
right?
I try to train myself to go to the positive, and I think that's honestly that I wasn't doing that in the last year.
It's
So,
also like a fine line between like allowing people to take advantage of you by being
Yep.
positive and okay with everything versus being cynical right off the bat, where that's not good either.
no.
Oh, it's terrible.
Really bad.
It's my whole life, but it's terrible.
I've been like called out in the comments of this show for being too positive. I'm like, well, would you rather me just be like down on everything?
Yeah.
Look, there's a downward bubble. Just got a thing going down there.
You got a thumbs down?
do we
Yeah,
get a
it
thumbs
just
down on
showed
that?
up because you said something about negativity. I don't know what this operating system is, but that is Tom Storey, by the way. He always is like inside baseball. Here we go. Ready? I got to witness this week Tom have conversations with both his mom and his dad on speakerphone,
Aw,
and they're so lovely. They're just like,
that's beautiful.
it is. And I'm like, how do I gotta be that type of a dad. I'm like,
Yeah,
my kids aren't
you
on the phone
do.
yet, thankfully. But like, everybody's like, hey, it wasn't like this, but let me put my spin on it from what I hear. It's like, hey, champ, what's going on, brother? Like, hey, how's it going? Good? Yeah, yeah. Right?
My mom actually called, and I know she listens to this. And Steve was in the car, so I'm like, I'm in the car with Steve. My mom answered the phone with such energy that Steve was like, turn down the energy.
That's what he said. It's like, hey, guys, what's going on, guys? Everything's good. Yeah. So I guess.
But even like talking like this, don't you feel a difference in your body?
100%. I feel
Right?
better now than I, did at the
I
beginning
am
of this.
4 drinks in now. So yes, I definitely feel.
Are you kidding? Okay, well,
Well, one of
I
us
had the
needs to
token
be
one.
responsible. Yeah.
We're going long here, Tom. We should probably wrap this up and go get a steak.
Okay.
This was fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Anita Painter should have been in the painting business. I had to put that joke in there
I
at some
actually
point.
get like probably 7 to 10 calls a year.
Yeah.
About painting a house.
Really?
Yes.
Because they look you up on Google.
They look me up on Google and like ANITA is not like
They're like really-
They think it's like a joke.
They,
like,
no, they think
No.
it's, I have a painting company.
They typed in, I need.
No,
a
oh, I get
painter
it. I get it.
into Google, and Anita Painter comes up, and they're like, hey, you're a painter.
Yeah.
That's great.
Like, oh, you're looking to sell your house?
Yeah, right. I don't paint houses. I sell them.
That is funny.
I love it. Love you guys.
AnitaPainter.com.
This is fantastic. Anita stuff is going to all be down
Yep.
below in the description.
Yep.
I was going to say comments, but it won't be there. It'll be in the description. Anita, I love you. I'm
I
glad
love you
you're in my
guys
life.
too.
Very,
Aw.
yeah.
That's like the nicest thing you've ever said to me, Steve.
It is. Don't worry. I'm going to swear at you next Wednesday when we're on the phone at 8:45 in the morning. I also
love
love
you guys
Tom. Just
too.
don't tell him.
I love
Yeah.
Tom too.
Yeah.
Well, unstructured episode, but it was fun. Had 0 notes for this and just kind of saw where it went. And,
Oh, I forgot to press record.
oh, well, that's too bad. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. And we will see you next week. And happy Remembrance Day.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.